Hi friends, welcome once again to JD's Guidance. Friends, I have come with another topic, that is valuation of bonds. In the previous videos, we have seen how to value shares, and this video is about valuation of bonds. What is bonds? Bonds are financial instruments, okay? These are securities which are issued by some financial institution or body or agency. Now the question is, what is speciality of bonds? Bonds are issued with a rate of return. That means whoever invests money in bonds, he or she, the investor, is supposed to get some return in the form of interest. Now the question is, the same thing if it is done by a company or corporate, then we call it debentures. So bonds are issued by government, debentures are issued by companies. This is the basic difference. But they carry the same characteristics, as bond will also carry some fixed return. Debentures will also carry some annual or interest charges. So conceptually they are same. However, one important thing is that since bonds are issued by government, the chances of making default, that means not making the payment of interest to the investors, is very less, minimal or zero. However, in case of companies, the chances, there is always a default risk, the risk of default. That means companies may not give the interest if situations are not very conducive. So that's why there are chances of risk in case of issue of debentures, but there are no risk involved in bonds. So this is the conceptual difference between bonds and debentures, but when it comes to valuation, they are all the same. So whatever methods we are discussing under bonds, the same apply to debentures also. Now friends, how to value bonds? You know that bonds are financial instruments. They are the securities that you are trying to buy with the hope that you will get some returns. Now we will find out how to value these bonds, and we will take up the first one, that is bond with maturity. Let us assume that we want to invest in a bond which has a fixed maturity. Now we will take two special cases when there is a normal bond with a fixed maturity. Say for example, if there is a bond where you have 5 years, you can buy a 5 years bond. 5 years bond means you will mature, this bond will have a maturity period of 5 years. Suppose it has an interest rate of 7%. It will provide you annual interest rate of 7%, and the face value of the bond is 1000. That means if you purchase the bond, you have to pay 1000, the face value. Okay. You may purchase it at a discount, but let's believe that the face value of the bond is rupees 1000. And the required rate of return, that is KD. As you know, as we have seen in the last video, KE is the required rate of equity. That is cost of equity. The required rate of return by investors of a bond is, say for example, 8%. Considering the risk and other things, let's consider that it is 8%. Now the question is, how can we value the bond? Now friends, as you can see, this is for 5 years. So every year I will receive interest, and at the end of the 5th year I will receive interest as well as the face value, okay, or the terminal value. So what I can do is that I can write that first year, suppose it is 5 years time period, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year I will get interest 1, interest 2, interest 3, okay, interest 4, and the last year I get interest 5 as well as I get the terminal value because it has matured. Now I am valuing the bond at this point B0. Suppose B0 is the point where we want to value the bond. We want to know what is the value of the bond. How can I value the bond? I can value only when I know that what is its true worth at this point of time. I know I will receive interest for the following years. I have to do what? I have to find out what is its worth of interest at B0. I have to find out all the I's, what is its worth at B0. As we have seen in the last videos also, we have to discount the cash flows. These are all your cash flows. So we have to discount all the cash flows at B0. Then I can find out what is its true worth at B0 because I am taking the decision at B0. So what I can do is that I1, interest on the first year, I discount it by 1 plus KD. KD is the cost of the bond, that is required rate of return that the investors are expecting. Okay, that is 1 plus KD to the power 1 because this is the first year. Plus I2 divided by 1 plus KD to the power 2. Similarly, I will go likewise to I5 divided by 1 plus kd to the power 5. Also in the last year I am supposed to receive the terminal value TD. Okay, I will get the terminal value or the face value divided by 1 plus kd to the power 5. So last year I am getting both. So what is I want? Interest. What is my interest? 7%. 7% of 1000. So that is 70. Every year I am getting 70. And what is KD? KD is 8%. So 1 plus 8%. 1 plus this we will do. Raised to the power first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. Okay. And what is your TV? That is 1000. Now, if I solve this, suppose I get rupees 960. What does this mean? This means that the worth of the bond at this point of time is 960. So investors should not pay more than 960 because its worth is 960. Okay, so you can buy the bond at 960 but not more than 960 as because its true worth is 960. So you can buy it at 960 and you can get 1000 rupees at the maturity because its true worth is 960. Or in other words, you can just say that the true worth of the bond of having a face value of 1000, 7% interest rate for 5 years is 960. This is the way by which you can calculate the value of the bond. So friends, now take up another problem with another case which is about yield to maturity. So friends, now we are going to talk about yield to maturity. Now what happened? You are investing in a bond and the bond provides an yield to maturity. The method of knowing the value of the bond is yield to maturity. Now what happens here, in the market it is bought and sold at rupees 800. Okay, and you want to keep this bond for 5 years say. And on the maturity value or the terminal value of the bond is rupees 1000. Now I want to know what is the rate of return that the bond is generating. What is the rate of return this bond is generating? Because here you know what is the current market price, it is 800. Fine. And what is its maturity value? 1000. If I buy a bond, I have to pay 800, wait for 5 years and I will get 1000 rupees on maturity. Okay. If I want to know what is the rate of return that the bond is generating, then what I have to do is that the bond is actually generating, the current market price is actually reflecting all the cash inflows that you are receiving for 5 years. Okay, what you are receiving 5 years? In 5 years you are receiving interest, or we call it coupon rate. Coupon rate is, for example, 15%. So this bond will carry a 15% coupon rate. That means every 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you will be receiving 15% of 1000. Okay. So because this bond has a face value of 1000 with a coupon rate of 15% is currently selling at 800. With a maturity of 5 years. You are given a situation when the bond has a current market price of 800, carrying a face value of 1000 with a coupon rate of 15%. Coupon rate means every year you will receive 15% interest. That means you are receiving interest from every year. So I receive interest I for how many years? 5 years. So let's say T. T is the total number of years. And I have to discount these cash flows because what I am getting at I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, I have to discount it. Okay. So what is the rate of discount? 1 plus YTM. Why YTM? I will tell you later. 1 plus YTM, because in all the case we have written KE or KD, that is the required rate of return. Here I am writing YTM to the power T plus. So what I am getting? I am getting the sum of all the interest that I am getting for 5 years and I discount it because I have to know what is its present value. Okay, and T is equals to 1 to N. That means T ranges from year 1 to nth period. In our case N is equals to 5. Okay. Plus at the 5th year I will be getting the terminal value or the maturity value of 1000, but this also has to be discounted because I have to get the present worth of this terminal value. So that means the current market price, which is 800, suppose my current market price is 800, is equals to the sum of all the interest payment. What is my sum? All the interest payments? I am getting 15% of 1000. So I get 150 divided by 1 plus YTM. Okay, and this is for how many years? 5 years. I will sum all from t is equals to 1 to 5. Okay, for 5 years I am getting 150 and I discount it with a rate. Okay, plus the last year I am getting terminal value, which is 1000, discounted by 1 plus yield to maturity to the power 5th year. Okay, now the question is, what have I done? I have 800 known to me, I have 1000 known to me, I have 150 known because 15% of 1000. What is unknown? This is unknown. So I have to find out what should be this rate, what should be this rate, what should be this rate, so that this LHS becomes equal to RHS. So that means I have to find out this rate at which the LHS and RHS becomes equal. If I discover this rate, that is the rate of bonds, that is return of the bond. Now how do I find out this? Now you see, if the bond is, that means I am discounting, right? If the bond is generating 15% giving you 1000, at 15% it is giving you 1000 face value, but your current market value is just 800. That means it is quite less. That means I have to discount it at a higher rate. 15% discounting, it will become 1000, so I have to discount it at a higher rate. Now what is that rate? You have to follow trial and error method. First you will try with, say for example, if I am given this opportunity, I will try with 18%. I will refer to the annuity table. What is why annuity table? Because this 150 you are receiving uniformly in all the years. So when your cash inflows are equal, uniform in all the years, you have to refer to the annuity table. So you refer to the annuity table, you find out at 18% rate of interest for 5 years, what is the annuity factor? Okay, so suppose for 18% rate of interest, the annuity factor is say 2.160. This is just hypothetical, I am not sure. You have to follow this, that 2.160, you have to exponent 5. Then if you find that 800 is equal to, this side becomes 920. That means LHS is not equal to RHS. That means you tried with 18%, but your LHS has not become equal to RHS, and what you have to do? You have to discount with a higher rate, because as you discount with higher rate, this value will lower. Say for example, you discounted with 20%. As you discounted with 20%, you got 800 is equals to 790. Now also it has not equated, because seldom you will find a chance when both will exactly be equal. So when you see that there is one value which gives you less, another rate gives you high value, then you have to interpolate. Through interpolation you can find the rate of return. How can you interpolate? Let's find out. In order to interpolate, what we will do is the lower rate. In my example, my lower rate was 18%, right? Plus higher value. That means with the lower rate I got a higher value, I think it was 920. This is my example. Minus required value, what I want, 800 I want, divided by higher value is 920, minus what was lower value, if I remember it was 790, and then higher rate was, it was 20% minus 18%. It is hypothetical. Suppose you discounted first with 18% and you received with 18%, you received say 920. So there is a need that you discount with higher rate, say 20%. So with 20% you got a lower value. So when you solve this, suppose you get the answer is equals to 22, say for example the answer is 19.5. So that means this is the internal rate of return of the bond. That means the cash inflows that I showed in the right side, if they are discounted with 19.5%, it will equate to rupees 800 current market price, and this is what the bond is generating. Actually the bond is generating internally the 19.5% returns. So friends, that is all about the yield to maturity and normal bonds. Okay, we will talk about perpetual bond and deep discount bond in our next video. Thank you for watching. Till then, goodbye.